Hello, Africa and the rest of the world. This is the day the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. I want to seize this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you who will join us today at the African Season Speakers Network to discuss how to develop and master the art of responsibility. My first thanks go to God Almighty for making this day possible for us to meet and share ideas, and also to the vision bearers, the organizers, and every member of the African Season Speakers Network. Thank you all for your support so far, and we thank God for a time like this. Yes, it is lockdown with benefits. Though the lockdown has been lifted up, we are still at lockdown. And the benefits that we want to get from some of these unfortunate incidents are blessings to us because we believe that there is blessing in disguised blessing in every misfortune. Yes, as we roll on today, I am your speaker, Confidence Dennis Dzaka, the Global Responsibility Ambassador. Yes, I come straight from the best country in West Africa, in Ghana. Shall we go on straight as we deliberate on how to develop and master the art of responsibility? Basically, responsibility is attached to a certain art of behavior, which we call the responsible behavior. And this responsible behavior is doing the right thing. Responsible behavior is doing what you should do in any situation. It is doing what people expect you to do, even when it's not easy, fun, or clear. Responsible people can be counted on to do what they say they're going to do, even in tough situations. For society to work, people have to behave in responsible, predictable, and ethical ways. Trust is essential, and being responsible means being someone other people can trust. It means knowing the right thing to do and then doing it. So it makes sense to figure out just what responsible behavior looks like in many different situations and how you can cultivate it to become the kind of person others and you yourself can count on. On that note, if you have joined us, please don't be here alone. Do well to tag any self-motivated individual or leader who is ready to also learn new things and also add up to what we are doing. If whatever we are going to discuss about the development and mastering the art of responsibility, you are free to add your voice to it. You comment if any point resonates to whatever you are doing, whether you've applied it and the result that you've gained, you can share with us because we are here to share ideas and learn from each other and grow. You can also share on your various social media handles for other people to also follow and join. Now, what is irresponsible behavior? One may ask. Let's consider a child whose mom wants him or her to clean the room, and that same child's teacher wants him or her to do his or her homework, and maybe you are required to do other things and report at the same time. Everybody is on your case to do the right thing, to do what you say you would do, to be, in a word, responsible. But there's more to being responsible than just doing what other people want you to do. Being responsible means making the right choices. It means identifying and accepting the consequences, whether good, bad, or ugly, of your decisions. Ultimately, it means considering how your actions will affect people and situations around you. Let's do a quick look at the five critical elements of responsibility. Responsible behavior is made up of five critical elements. And these elements include honesty, compassion or respect, fairness, accountability, and courage. Let's take it one after the other and see what we can talk about considering the five critical elements of responsibility. There's an old saying that says, honesty really is the best policy. Even if you are able to get away with lying for a little while, your lies are bound to catch up with you at some point. So here is a good guideline to live by. Tell the truth and tell it with respect for the people who hear it. Keep in mind that honest people don't mess with stuff that doesn't belong to them. Basically, they don't steal. They don't break things that belong to other people. And if they do break something, they admit it and try to make amends. Moreover, honest people make decisions about people and things based on evidence rather than emotions. Sometimes it's easy to make judgments based on what we think we know. But being honest means being willing to consider all the facts before we draw those conclusions. As humans, our perspectives can sometimes be skewed. When we are being honest, we are willing to consider alternative explanations. And finally, on honesty, we will say that it means being willing to consider that there are aspects of ourselves we need to change. It's dishonest, both to ourselves and to others, to think we are perfect. Everyone has room for improvement. Being honest with yourselves means being open to constructive criticisms. Now, the second critical element that I want to look at is compassion and respect. No one likes to be treated with disrespect. We all want to be understood, accepted, and appreciated. We expect to be treated with kindness. We expect other people to try to understand us, not just criticize us. If you want to be respected, you have to respect others. You must treat people with kindness and try to put yourself in their shoes. When someone needs help, be helpful. You never know when you're going to need someone to help you someday. One of the most important things to remember about respecting others is to not judge people who are different from you. Of course, we all can't be like you, and you also can't be like everybody. Everywhere you look, you see people of different ethnicities, religious backgrounds, and carnal orientations. You see rich people, poor people, men, women with different political ideologies, and what have you. The point is, everyone is different, and there is no such thing as normal. So there's no reason to draw distinctions between people. Everyone is unique and deserves to be treated with kindness and respect. The next point we will look at is fairness. Let's face it, we've all felt that we were being treated unfairly at some point or another. We don't like to feel we are being cheated out of what is rightfully ours. In our society, we put a high value on our rights and on making sure no one takes them away. We believe there are certain things everyone deserves, and if there is injustice somewhere, it has to be fixed. Fairness can be tricky. It doesn't mean that we always get what we want. In truth, no one gets their way all the time. As buttressed by Coach John C. Maxwell in one of his books titled Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. Life's greatest lessons are gained from our losses. Being fair really means balancing our personal needs with the needs of others. It means making sure one person doesn't always win out over the other. It also means not always seeking your own way at the expense of others. Fairness is a lot like respect. It means that we treat everyone the way we want to be treated without partiality or bias. It also means that we tolerate people who think, look, or act differently than we do. Because, in a matter of fact, we also act differently from those people. It also means that we don't show favoritism or give one group special privileges at the expense of another. We move on to look at the fourth critical element of responsibility, that is accountability. Suppose you haven't cleaned your work area, even though your supervisor has been badgering you about it all day. What do you think will happen when he or she checks on you again and sees that you haven't done what he or she has asked you to do? Are you going to whine and make excuses? Or are you going to own up and face whatever consequence might come? That's what accountability is all about. It's acknowledging and accepting whatever happens as a result of your decisions, your actions, and your mistakes. Blaming other people for things you did wrong is both dishonest and unkind. Don't try to make excuses, they don't make anything better. The more excuses you make, as a matter of fact, for bad behavior, the less likely people are to trust what you say in the future. So do what you say and say what you did. It's better for everyone in the long run. Being accountable means thinking about what might happen as a result of your actions and deciding if you still want to do it. You know that if you are late for work one more time, your manager will put a written warning in your personnel file. Is it worth it? Think about how your decisions will influence other people's decisions. Decide if it's worth it. Then, if it blows up in your face, accept the consequences, learn from your mistake, and try not to repeat it. Finally, what I'll share with you on accountability is that it also means doing what you say you will do. If you tell a customer that you will meet him or her at 3:30 p.m., meet the customer at 3:30 p.m. If you say you will have your part of a project completed by Tuesday morning, have it done by Tuesday morning. Never make promises you don't intend to keep. If you are someone other people can depend on, they will be more likely to keep their promises to you as well. The last of the five critical elements that we will consider today under for responsibility is courage. Yes, courage. To do the right thing, even when it's not easy, fun, or popular, takes a lot of courage. If someone tells you to do one thing and you know that it's wrong or unwise, you have to be brave enough to stand up for what you believe in. Sometimes it's extremely difficult to do that, I know. Many people find it a lot easier to just go with the crowd, even when the crowd is acting in a way that doesn't agree with their personal values. Responsible behavior means always being true to what you believe is right. When you waver on your own values, you lose credibility with both yourself and others. The more you stick to what you know is right, the easier it gets. You will find it easier to trust yourself to make the right decisions. And people who trust themselves are people who can be trusted by others to make the right call. Another thing that takes courage is standing up to people when you see them doing something wrong or harmful. We've all heard about people who get beaten while a crowd of onlookers stand by and does nothing. How does this happen? It happens because people are afraid to confront each other even when they know it's the right thing to do. It takes courage to tell even your coworkers that socializing rather than doing their share of the work is wrong. It takes even more courage to make sure they don't get away with it. Yeah, if you just join us, yeah, this is the African Citizen Speakers Network, and we are live bringing you how to develop and master the art of responsibility. Make sure you share with your friends, leave a comment, you can leave a question or add up to what we are talking about so that we can all learn from each other and progress. Now, as you are trying to develop your art of responsibility, one question that comes to mind is, when do you act and when do you not act? Even when you know what it means to act responsibly, it isn't always clear what the right thing to do is. Sometimes it's complicated and confusing. When your personal values, loyalty, honesty, integrity, and others, for example, come into conflict, there may not be just one right way to go. And sometimes, even when it's clear what you should do, the choice to do the right thing may be really hard. Now, here is a guiding light for you. Responsible behavior is all about gaining control of your own life. If you know the right thing to do and you do it, no one has to look over your shoulder. You are able to take care of yourself and of those around you. You're also able to do good things that have a positive impact. That's what people mean when they talk about personal responsibility and social responsibility. Let's take a quick look at these two and then we move further. Now, people who take responsibility for themselves, their behavior, and the consequences of their behavior have a high degree of personal responsibility. They have a clearly defined set of ethics or moral principles that guide what they do and how they do it. These ethics help them make decisions even in complicated situations. People with personal responsibilities show compassion, fairness, accountability, and courage, as we saw in the five critical elements of responsibility. Being true to your ethics means being true to yourself. It helps you develop and maintain self respect, self worth, and self control. Sticking to your values and always trying to do the right thing means that no one can trick or manipulate you. Now, if each and every individual builds on their personal responsibility acumen and we come together, it makes the social responsibility bigger, better, and has a brighter future. Taking the characteristics of personal responsibility and expanding them to include consideration of your employer, co-workers, customers, and community is what social responsibility is all about. For society to function smoothly and effectively, people have to be able to trust each other. We have to trust that people are going to do their jobs, for instance, and that no one is going to steal or break any company's property. People need to respect and value one another enough to honor each other's rights and dignity. Social responsibility means taking other people's needs, interests, and feelings into account and acting accordingly. It means not doing something to deliberately hurt or mislead others. It doesn't mean that we always have to give up what we want so that other people can be happy. No. But it does mean that we make an effort to get along with others. Society functions through a common set of ethical values and behaviors that influence our ability to judge right from wrong. acting within those accepted rules and seeking to contribute to the common good demonstrate social responsibility. Now, I have some set of questions for you. If you can respond to them, I'll be very glad as we go along from all that we have heard. My first question is, why is it important to be honest with yourself? And how should you treat people who are different from you? Why is it sometimes fair that you not get what you want? How does being accountable help other people trust you? Also, why can it be difficult to act responsibly in every situation? Why is it important to develop personal responsibility? And the last but not the least, what role does trust play in society? I want to hear your thoughts. Let's keep this interactive. We'll read it, and if there's any reaction that we'll do, we'll have to do it. Now we move on to the 5 keys to develop the art of responsibility. We need 5 keys. There are many different ways to show that you've got what it takes to act responsibly. Part of being responsible means knowing how to act in different situations and contexts. The way you act at home, for instance, is different from how you act at school or on the job. No matter where you are, there's a right and a wrong way to behave. The first key we'll move on to look at is follow the rules. Everywhere you go, there are rules about what you should do and what you should not do. At home, for example, a rule could be that your homework must be done by 9 o'clock. At school, you must have an exit to go out of campus. And at work, you're supposed to be on the job by 8 o'clock every morning. Even though rules are sometimes a pain, they help society run smoothly because they let everyone know what to expect and what will happen if they break those rules. Acting responsibly means doing your best to know what the rules are and doing what you're supposed to do. The second point we'll look at is to tell the truth. No doubt about it, sometimes it's a lot easier to tell a lie than to come clean. Sometimes it seems like lying can get us out of trouble or turn a bad situation around. But in the long run, it never pays to lie. Honesty is not a character trait anyone should cultivate. It can become a nasty habit that makes it hard for anyone to trust you. When you get caught in a lie, you lose credibility and people stop taking you seriously. At work, people expect you to be upfront and honest about what you are doing. No one likes an idler who tries to convince others that he or she is really working hard. If you are bored, overwhelmed, frustrated, or confused, communicate openly and honestly. Telling the truth builds trust between you, your boss, your co workers, and among your family members, even your friends. The third key we'll look at is admit your mistakes. No one is perfect. Being responsible doesn't mean that you never make a mistake, but it does mean that you are willing to acknowledge when you blow it. It means that you accept the consequences and try to do better. Have the freedom to fail and learn from it because that is a part of the success journey. The fourth key we'll look at to develop the art of responsibility is finish tasks with care and on time. If you prove yourself trustworthy, people will be more likely to trust you in the future. Learning how to finish tasks on time and with care can also make you a good employee. Wherever you work, you will have duties people expect you to perform, and they will expect you to perform them well. Being successful on the job requires living up to a set of expectations and contributing to the shared goal of the organization. And the last key that we are going to consider to develop the art of responsibility is always act appropriately. Regardless of where you are, your interactions should be respectful and kind. Sometimes, co-workers, customers, and even managers can get on your nerves. It's part of human nature to get annoyed with others. Regardless, you should always treat the people around you the way you would want them to treat you, with dignity, care, and respect. Appropriate behavior at work also means doing what you're supposed to be doing when you're supposed to be doing it. It means not talking to a friend on the phone while customers are waiting to be helped. It means not surfing the internet, checking email, or texting your buddies when you're supposed to be working on a research project for your next meeting. Save that stuff for your break. After all, that's what breaks are for. So, here too, I want you to try and provide some responses to only three questions. The first one is, why are rules important? The next, when is it difficult to be honest? And the last one, how does admitting your mistakes help you grow as a person? Now, here's one great discovery I made in my research of how to master the art of responsibility. I came across a very interesting model designed by Christopher Avery, one of my virtual mentors on responsibility, which I want to share with you. It's called the responsibility process. Now, according to Christopher Avery, the responsibility process is a natural mental pattern that helps you process thought about taking or avoiding responsibility. How you navigate it determines whether you are leading toward meaningful results or just marking time. There are five phases plus other two side phases of the model. The actual phases are lay blame, justify, shame, obligation, and responsibility. The additional ones are denial and quitting. Denial takes place sometimes when we aren't willing to yet able to admit that we have a problem. And quitting occurs when we hope that the problem will go away by itself. We climb up these five steps of the process automatically as soon as we get rid of the previous state. Passing each step becomes possible only when one has recognized standing on that particular step. And at any situation, it is possible to rise to the step of responsibility. Only at the state of responsibility are you able to reach creativity and innovative problem solving. And once you are there, we feel better and the agony over the situation vanishes. The stages of the responsibility process are easy to spot in others, but the hard part is spotting them in ourselves. Once we are able to spot them in ourselves, we have to make an active decision to want to progress to the next stage, which in itself can be tough. Let me use this time to just give a brief overview of the stages. The denial stage. is when we are ignoring something either through choice or through limited understanding. Then we come to the lay blame, where we are quick to blame others. It's easy and natural to blame others for something which has happened. Then from that stage, we move on to the justify. If we can move on from blaming people, then we justify it because of the situation or things outside of our control. Then after that, we now blame ourselves. That's where the shame comes in. Shame is the first step of taking ownership of an issue, and initially we feel bad that we blamed others or justified it externally, and now realize it's us. The next phase of the responsibility process is obligation. We feel trapped, burdened, and that we have no choice. Feeling that I have to, where our true desires are at odds with our perceived reality. In this mental state, you don't perform well. Example, not really being present in a meeting and resentment. Then we move on to quit. This is where you think you have packed a problem, but it is just temporary and it will return costing you more mental and emotional energy. That's a problem for later. Then, if we are able to move from the obligation and the quitting stages, we move on to the highest phase of the responsibility process, which is the responsibility itself. If we are ready and willing to take the responsibility, we feel free, powerful, and safe. You trust that you have sufficient intelligence, creativity, and resources to face whatever life brings. We make choices, and these multiple choices lead us creating a desired experience compared to attracting experiences which are more complex and less linear. To take on the task of being 100% responsible person, you need three keys. The first key is intention, an active intention to take responsibility by asking yourself, how can I? This how can I triggers that creativity and innovative spirit that is inside you to develop solution, and you become solution oriented. The second key that you need to be 100% responsible is awareness. When we feel frustrated, identify which mental state we are on so that we can improve. So you look at the the 5 to 7 processes, and then you quickly identify yourself whether you are the denial phase, the lay blame phase, the justify, the shame, the obligation, or the quit, so that you quickly wake yourself up and move on to the next phase. The third key that you need to become 100% responsible person is confront. Now, confront is not for you to go and maybe cause a fight or any argument or any conflict. No, but you must face and examine the perceived conflict in your mind to grow. You can also use the catch sooner framework to actively work on your personal issues. You have to catch yourself performing the action you want to change. And you have to determine your desired behavior, and you must forgive yourself for being human and not changing faster due to unconscious programming or conditioning. And you must vow to catch yourself sooner next time. The path to mastery is not simple. It will be the hardest work you will ever do. You will get stuck in the process of trying to get unstuck. You will be practicing responsibility at many levels in your life. However, responsibility provides a better, more productive way to live and work. So we just have to keep in touch more often, discuss the processes, try to help ourselves, use practical examples to encourage ourselves, and then be accountable to ourselves. And this will help us to identify the phases that we are at each point in life or at each point in decision making. Now, let's move on to the last part before we wrap up, which is the mastery of responsibility. Mastering responsibility is by far the most important skill. You cannot blame your lack of responsibility on anyone but yourself. There is more failure if you don't plan yourself to take responsibility. Now, I'll quickly share the four keys to master the art of responsibility. First key to master the art of responsibility is to motivate yourself. Motivating yourself means working hard, showing enthusiasm, exceeding expectations, and continuously striving to improve yourself. All what you need to be doing to motivate yourself is to identify the steps needed to reach a goal and indicate a deadline for each step. Set a goal for yourself and try to meet certain steps to achieve the goal. Be sure to follow through and follow hard with your goal. Reward yourself after successfully reaching each step towards your goal. Get up early in the morning, even if you do not have school or work that day. It's part of motivating yourself. The second key to master the art of responsibility is to be ethical. And as we said earlier, to tell the truth to yourself and others, and then you comply with rules and fulfilling all commitments. You must always ask yourself, what would my partner think of this choice? What will my boss think of this choice? What will my parents think of this choice? Even what will I think of this choice if I'm given a second chance? Next time when you're making a decision, follow the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And also, never make a promise you cannot keep. The third key to master the art of responsibility is to manage your time. This is planning ahead to ensure that all responsibilities are completed by their deadlines. All you need to do is to make a list of all your tasks for the day, then rank each task in order of importance. That's prioritizing yourself. And then show up 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes early to all meetings, appointments, or classes. In the media network, I learned something called the call time. If you have any production that will be on air at a particular time, there's a call time that you have to report. It's called a call time, and that is 30, at least 30 minutes before the time, so that you can put everything in place before you go on air. And as we sit in our homes and we watch our favorite programs with the various times that they have stipulated them, and anytime we watch, they're always on time. Someone is managing his or her time. And if we all adopt this, the world is going to be a very good place for us. And also, you must also use a planner to keep track of all your appointments and assignments. So you can also use your calendar and reminders on your phones that can remind you to manage your time. Because Time management is life management, and responsible people are required to master this key to become very responsible. And the last one is to manage your money. Yes, you can't be responsible and be poor. No, you have to learn how to manage your money. And the skill manage your money is making sure you are not spending more than you are earning so that you'll be able to pay your debts. My grandmother would advise that cut your coat according to your income. Yes, you don't spend more than you earn. You must always think of even investing to earn more. Now, just make a budget for yourself each month, including entertainment, clothes, food, transportation, and all that you spend money on. And then learn how to balance a checkbook. Don't say because I am not, if I don't have a financial background or I'm not a business administration student. No, no, no. We work with money. Money is one thing that the normal classroom will not teach us, but you have to learn it for life and for work. So you have to just learn it and avoid impulse buying. You can also put away 10% of your allowances or your salaries for your personal savings and investment. So, ladies and gentlemen across the globe, this is Confidence Dennis Dzaka from the Global Pacesetters Consult. I've been your speaker for today, looking at how to develop and master the art of responsibility. So, if you have questions, suggestions, contributions, or anything that you want to add up to this, you're always welcome to do. Let's keep interactive, and I'm sure that we have learned one or two things that we are going to apply in our day-to-day activities as individuals, as leaders, as students, as children, as parents, as spouses, that will make the world a better place. Thank you for having me, and I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything, every effort that you put in. And we'll meet again.